3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Welcome, Brady, to the Better Blokes project. A bit of anonymity. How do you say that word?
Nominally.
For us, you've reached out to us wanting to be on board. None of us know you, so it's the first time we've had not a proper guest, but I suppose a guest that none of us are aware of. So you're going to have to give us a pretty good spiel on who you are, where you're at, and first of all, though, what your one percenter is and why you're here.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thanks for having me, guys. I'm a big fan of the podcast, and to be here, it's an honour. My name's Brady Jackson. I'm from Penguin. I'm 21 years old. I'm a disability support worker, martial artist, and I love social media. I'm obsessed with self-development, and the theme I really like about this podcast is mental health. So that's what's brought me here today. My one percenter, I know this is probably one you guys have heard a lot. Gratitude. I think gratitude is vital, and it's something that we need. It's something you definitely need. I focus on gratitude every morning, every night, during the day even. I like to list at least 3 things I'm grateful for, and that kind of sets me out for the day to be grateful and to feel happy, I guess, and it's a huge part of my life.
Sounds like it's definitely something we've had that theme come to us quite a few times now over the course of the last 3 seasons. It seems like it's something that sets you on a reference plane for that day to sort of step off from and keeps you grounded for that.
Where did that start for you, mate? Like, gratitude is something that a lot of people do talk about in that sort of mindfulness scope of being grateful for where you're at, and as Murph said, that like leveling the playing field, I guess you could sort of say. Where did that come from you as a 21-year-old?
I've struggled with mental health. I've had my fair battle with depression and anxiety and PTSD, and I discovered through therapy, self-help books, my parents even, they've all recommended gratitude. And the more I dive deeper into mental health, and listen to the people who have come out the other side of struggle, is gratitude. And it's something I gather, cut that out. It's something I've learnt from my clients in particular who have gone through huge struggles, traumatic events, and it's been that stepping stone to get them back on track. Yeah.
It's been like my experience with people that have had their struggles and those big struggles like that. You know, I'll be there bopping along in a perfectly healthy body. Not much adversity comes my way, and then there's someone that's missing an arm. Like we've got a trainer at work who lost his right arm to melanoma, and he's the most upbeat dude, just absolutely frothing on life. I'm like, I've got nothing to worry about. I need to be grateful for the fact that I'm healthy and I'm just, have no struggles comparatively, really.
What does gratitude look like for you? You mentioned that every day you start by just sort of thinking about the 3 things that you're grateful for. How do you put that into practice?
So I'll, just as basic as listing 3 things I'm grateful for. So, for example, today I woke up and felt grateful for the amazing job I have. My loving parents, my friends, and just even to, wake up to food in the cupboard, fresh, clean water. It's very simple and very basic, but it's real important to recognise the amazing things that we have in our life.
We've had a few people journaling. Do you do it as a part of journaling, or do you just do it as, do you put it on your notes in your phone, or is that just like you go to? Like when I wake up some mornings, I'm like, I've got to clean the car today. Or I've got this to do. Like, is that just your thought process of a morning to go straight into that?
It is my thought process. I have done a bit of journaling in the past. It's very hard to get into routine, and that's something I struggle with, making time to journal and write down things. But I think, that's important, because I've heard I don't know if you guys have heard, but writing things down helps you install it in your brain much better than, just thinking things through.
It's way easier to just type it on your phone out here, though, isn't it? Like, just give it the old quick dish and it's away and done.
But I did hear, I can't remember who it was exactly, they were sort of citing some research paper, and I can't be fucked looking it up, but writing things down on tangible physical paper with a pen will instill that more in your mind than putting it into a digital sort of framework.
Yeah.
So like writing it, that's why I have for my job and just for what I do, I've got a paper journal, and that's where I just write down everything. Like, and often I will then go back to translate that to a calendar and that kind of thing. But it does help me remember more so than just chucking it into an online diary. But the one thing that paper doesn't do is it doesn't send you a notification to say, fuck, you've forgotten this thing. So,
at 21, though, that's pretty, like, we find that we get that from, and again, you're the youngest guest we've had, I think. The first time we've had a younger guest than all of us on here, for sure.
what are you saying? I'm pretty young.
Well, you had a birthday.
You're older than you were.
One up,
Yeah, true.
so,
You always are.
But yeah, we don't probably, I suppose, older people now that we are look back on the younger people and we're like, oh, they don't have any gratitude. This young mob, why else did it come about? Because we spoke briefly before we started the podcast. You went straight into working in the disability sector.
Yep.
Do you think that was a big decision, or not a big decision, but a big factor in, you factoring in gratitude so much?
Yeah, well, when I first got into disability, I did not know what I was getting myself into. I've heard things about it, and when I first told my mates about it, they kind of just saw it as, wiping bums, wiping asses and cleaning up after people, but it is much deeper than that. And getting to talk to new people that have gone through shocking things in their life and hearing some stories and seeing the struggles people go through day in, day out, it's heartbreaking. But it's inspired me by seeing these people overcome these challenges by looking for the good things in their life, regardless of their situation. And I take gratitude from that and inspiration to apply that in my life as well. So I went into that job wanting to inspire, and I've turned out to be inspired by my clients. So, yeah, I'm very grateful for my job. I've got a lot to be grateful for.
It's definitely a different career to, like you said, your mates thinking it's just wiping bums and changing nappies and stuff like that, whereas they're probably all frothing, ready to go and do some weld and do some cut and steel and that sort of thing. What drove you to get that into the disability space?
I love helping people, and to help someone improve their quality of life, I can't think of anything better than that. So if you're watching this and you're unsure of which direction you want to go down, if, a trade, like personally, I'm not your typical blokey bloke that can fix cars or can build or anything like that. I'm a very sensitive person who feels things deeply, and I love to take the time to connect with people and really make changes in people's lives and look for ways to overcome challenges and be there for people.
Back to that point of you being an anomaly. Fuck, I can't say that.
Anomaly.
Anomaly.
It's right, just nod and I'll say it.
That'll be the pun of this episode. It is a bit of an anomaly.
Anomaly.
Fucking oath. That you mentioned that you're a sensitive person, that you love to help people and all that kind of stuff, and like a softly spoken person. But then when we were discussing at the beginning of the podcast, you spoke about how you're also a fairly well certified martial artist. Tell us more about how does that fit to being a kind, caring person when you're kicking someone in the face?
Well, the yin and the yang, it's all about balance. You've got to be able to, stay calm in a situation. in fights, you see in action movies and that people getting angry and using emotion. Martial arts traditionally is all about breathing, staying calm, and being in full control of your mind. And that's my favourite thing about martial arts. And I've always applied that from right when I was a little kid to right now. It's so important to be in control of your emotions and not let your emotions control you. And that's something I stand by, and it's something that, I encourage to my clients, my friends, my family. But when shit hits the fan, sometimes you just gotta go all out.
Kick someone in the chops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that so? Is that something that you've copped, like not criticisms but concerns from people about, the dangers of martial arts? I guess you do. I come from a taekwondo background.
Sweet.
You do kick people in the face.
Yep.
You do get kicked in the face. Explain the dangers, I guess, perhaps of doing martial arts, but also how the well-being behind it, and just that kind of thing, because it's not something that a lot of people sort of understand.
Well, to me personally, I believe it's more dangerous to not know how to defend yourself. There's a saying on a Joe Rogan podcast I was watching recently. It's much better to be a warrior in a garden than to be a gardener in a war. And that's something that I resonate with. So to be ready to go all guns blazing in a situation and stay calm instead of, when shit hits the fan, not knowing what to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But martial arts, it can be very dangerous. Let's look at MMA, for example. We're seeing knockouts left, right, and centre. We're seeing brain damage. We're seeing deaths. Okay, it's a very dangerous thing.
I think one of the things that I was getting to with the martial arts sort of side of it is back to your point of the level-headedness that you learn, as a part of doing it, and how you do have that sort of emotional regulation that you do learn, and the breathing techniques and that kind of thing, and how you need to be fully in control of your emotions. What I was going to ask, and where I'm getting to with this, is that where you picked up this whole idea of being grateful for yourself and your surroundings, or is that something that you sort of picked up from podcasts or elsewhere within the world? Just thinking, as a 21-year-old, you've got a limited years of experience on the world. Where did it come from?
Starts from the very beginning, the reason why I started martial arts in the first place. And it comes to the trauma from bullying. So being bullied all throughout school. And it was such a traumatic thing for me. I went to school where my dad was a teacher. So, of course, my dad had to sort out some naughty boys in class. And, of course, I was the one that copped it at recess and lunchtime. So I had to know how to defend myself. And I had a lot of situations where people weren't very nice to me, and I'd get punched in the back of the head on the school bus. I'd just get things thrown at me in class, and I was just angry, confused, and sad, and I didn't know why this was happening. And I needed a way to let out my frustration. I needed something to ground me and understand myself and how to ground myself, but also have full control of my emotion and let out that frustration. And I found that through martial arts.
Where did the gratitude come from?
One day, my mum came to me with a book, and the book was named The Secret. And it's about applying the law of attraction and the power of visualization and the importance of gratitude. And I'm very spiritual. I know you guys probably won't understand what I mean by manifestation, or I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that term before, but it's about visualizing and speaking things into existence. And a lot of successful people, athletes, actors, influencers, all apply the law of attraction. And it's about having an image in your head of something you want, whether it's a higher version of yourself. And in order to reach that full potential, you need to set yourself in a position where you have a high vibration. So that means gratitude. Once again, it all links back together. In order to be in a position to attract good things, you need to become that higher version of yourself already. So if you want to be a successful business owner, you have to live as a successful business owner. This is what this principle is teaching. So does that make sense, or is that a bit all over the place?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
For me, back to the fighting thing, I couldn't fight my way of wet paper bag. I win most of my ones by 150 metres or more.
I'm a lover, not a fighter. Yeah.
But I don't have that. Like, I resonate largely with that, the whole emotional intelligence. Like, in terms of being angry and doing, like, I can throw a tool at a wall better than most blokes. I tell you, like, if things aren't going right, I'll put it through one. Whereas you probably find you wouldn't have that because you've got that emotional intelligence behind that. Like, you would never take your MMA to the schoolyard and just beat the piss out of a bloke for the sake of it, because you're so controlled in the fact that it's on the field when you do it, sort of thing. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's applaudable for me. Like, that's wicked, because I don't have that.
So while we're on definitely. And I guess while we're on the topic of manifestation and the other sort of side of what you do, what are some of the other things? So we've spoken a little bit about, obviously, your gratitude, where that's come from, the law of attraction, talking about, manifestation and those kind of things. We've spoken about martial arts. What are some of the other things that you do for you and your mental well-being, to look after yourself? Like,
yeah, well, I've been brought up by a dad who's obsessed with bodybuilding. So I've been around weight training my whole life. His dad was a bodybuilder, so I love to stay fit, lift weights in the gym.
Again, not hanging around gyms.
Yeah, correct.
we don't hang around gyms or schools. None of us have a white van either.
Sus. I'm a big nerd. I love to paint Warhammer. Probably don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
I know exactly what it is.
Yeah?
Yep.
Hell yeah. I collect Pokemon cards. You might want to edit that out. I love video.
It's fine.
I play video games. Big nerd. Not many people know that about me. But that's something I like. Once again, martial arts and spirituality. I love to learn more about the spiritual world and the spiritual realm, and to make sense of things, which is real hard to do with spirituality.
Is it with spirituality, like, is it something that you define as being Catholic or Christian, as a religious form of spirituality, or is it something more of considering, like, powers, obviously manifestation and those kind of things? Like,
Well, first of all, I wouldn't label myself either a Catholic or anything like that. I just say spiritual.
Yep.
I'm very open-minded. I don't believe in believing one thing. I like to listen to everyone and what they've got to say. I'll never push my beliefs on anyone else. But yeah, I'll just describe myself as spiritual, because I'm always learning and looking to learn new ways of thinking. Yeah.
There's a point I picked up there too with your having your hobbies, your Warhammer, your video games, that's probably a good one for you to be able, like working in the space that you do and the stresses and the things that you may see or experience in that disability support space.
Yeah.
Having those defined activities that you can go and do that just totally just disconnect you from work and other things and just get into that and just concentrate on that, yeah?
Absolutely. But also having those interests. I've got a lot of knowledge around those areas, so I'm able to go into the field and work with clients who also share those interests, and then just like form these awesome relationships with people where like we've got gaming group of a Friday night at the office where we're versing each other in Call of Duty and, painting Warhammer, playing Dungeons and Dragons, and it's a bonding thing, building relationships and bonding over these cool things.
You've got half the bond already made because you're in there doing it already.
Yeah, that's it. And I think honestly that's one of my favourite things about support work, and that is building relationships and finding out what people are passionate about and finding out what people are interested in. I've got this one client who's given me permission to talk about them today. He's got this obsession with the game Five Nights at Freddy's, and you walk into his room and he's got the biggest collection of Five Nights at Freddy's I've ever seen. And it's just incredible seeing like the passion of these individuals. And, there's another client I work with that's obsessed with cars, and he's set a goal for himself to become a mechanic. And just meeting lots of cool people with really cool interests, and I love learning about new things. So I feel like this job is well suited to me. I love it. It's awesome.
That's good.
That's really awesome, man. And thank you for putting yourself out there and coming on the podcast. If there's one thing that you could give or piece of advice aside from being grateful, because I think that's relevant to anyone, I'm more so sort of directing it to the younger people that are probably more around your age. If there's one piece of advice that you could give them, what would that be?
There's always something to be grateful for. Start small. Doesn't have to be big. No matter what situation you're in, there's always something to be grateful for. Whether it's whether it's a bed in your room, whether it's the roof over your head, clean water, your family, your friends. There's always something. So just be grateful.
I think that's a really good spot to finish. Thanks so much, Brady. You've been an absolute champion. If there's anything else that you want to share before we wrap up.
No, that's it.
All good, gents.
Very good.
All right, thank you very much. Look, I reckon people have got something out of this one. If you have, please drop us a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel and all the Facebooky things. If there's been anything triggering, we always recommend talking to a mate, GP, or Lifeline on 13 11 14. But thank you again, mate. Cheers.
Thanks for having me.
And see you next time. Cheers.
Thanks, Brady.
Thanks, Brady.